All right, so welcome back to another edition of Jared Talks While He Drives. I'm heading down to southern Arizona to do some scouting for a deer hunt that I have coming up. And so I wanted to at least make a portion of a video here, talk about something that's been going on with me the last 7 or 8 days, and just shed some light on that. So if you watched my other video about suicide and suicidal ideations and kind of my experience that I had or interactions with suicide, and then my own struggle with suicidal thoughts and ideations, that all stems from my career as a police officer, a SWAT operator, a SWAT sniper, and a lot of the different things that I did and experienced as a cop. I didn't make it super clear, or I can't remember, so I ended up receiving an accidental disability medical retirement for chronic PTSD from the police department. I can go into that maybe in another video. It's a very long process. It's a hard process. You're dealing with a lot of stuff, or I should say I was dealing with a lot of stuff, and the department and the policies and everything that's involved with that process is difficult. It's hard, and was able to make it through that. It was not necessarily the outcome that I wanted. I became a police officer, and that was my career. My plan was to be a cop for 20 plus years, and I was about 8 years in, and just got to a point mentally and emotionally that I wasn't able to do what I needed to do in the job. A lot of different experiences and things that went into that, and I think I'll make some videos talking about those specific experiences. But this video, I want to talk about the medication that I was on, and how that helped me, and also how that hurt me. If you watched my video about suicide, I talk about a friend of mine who's a veteran and experienced PTSD, and he was on some medication to help with those symptoms and to help manage what he was dealing with. I didn't know anything about PTSD or mental health or anything when my friend would share with me and talk to me about some of his struggles, and that he was on this medication, and that in a lot of ways he felt like the medication was worse. Being on the medication and experiencing the side effects of the medication was worse than just not being on it and dealing with the symptoms of PTSD. So he would tell me that. I would say, just nod my head and say, yeah, it sounds hard, because I didn't know. I had nothing I could relate to him about that. So fast forward to my experience. I am one who, in my life, I never liked taking medication for anything. You couldn't get me to take Tylenol or ibuprofen for a sore back or anything. I didn't like taking medication and putting stuff into my body that I didn't think I needed. That being said, I got to a point in my journey mentally, and I think I mentioned it in the other video, things were really bad. I was extremely suicidal. Basically, my goal every day was to stay alive that day. And my therapist and my psychiatrist had been trying to get me on some medication for a while to address some of those things, to address depression, anxiety, to address nightmares, to address these symptoms and these things that come up with PTSD. And I kept saying, no, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. I think a lot of that is just, again, I never did that with anything medication-wise, but also I will tell you 100%, me trying to hold off from taking that medication was me telling myself that even though these people are telling me that I'm dealing with PTSD and I can see and recognize that I'm having these physiological, psychological, emotional things happening. I can see them. They're happening to me. I'm dealing with it. I still was in, denial. I did not want to accept that this stuff was happening. I did not want to admit that I was dealing with anything. I did not want to give in to that. And a lot of that was tied into shame, guilt, and these feelings like that of being less than, not being able to do my job, not being able to provide for my family, not being able to be a man and just handle this stuff. And so I thought, if I could stay off this medication and kind of get through some of this stuff, then maybe somehow that makes me, better, that, I don't really have anything. I just was dealing with whatever, and I got through it myself. So that's kind of where I was at, my headspace and everything. But I talked about it, I think, in the other video. I got one night really bad. I was planning to go kill myself, and my wife saved me that night. Man. I thought I was gonna be able to get through this video without getting emotional. But the next day I met with my therapist and told her about it. And she asked me again, like, okay, now that you are kind of at this point, like the lowest of lows, are you willing to try some of this medication? And just look at it as a tool and some things that we can do that will help get through this. And I said, yeah, because I didn't know what else to do. So at this point, I already had multiple prescriptions prescribed and filled, and I went and picked them up, and I had them at my house, and I was refusing to take them. So that's where I was at. So when she said, hey, are you willing to do this now? I just had to go home and start taking it. So I did. And I did not think about anything in the future besides, like I said, the present day. I was just trying to make it through the next day without dying, without killing myself. And so I didn't look ahead to what it would look like 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, whatever. So the medication did help. I can't deny that. It helped. Slowly but surely, and the medication they had me on for the nightmares, it took some time to kind of build up, but the frequency, intensity of my nightmares frequency declined to almost nothing, and the intensity declined to a very low intensity. So I got to the point where instead of having very horrible, extreme, high intensity nightmares almost every night to maybe once or twice a month, and the intensity wasn't that bad, the discomfort wasn't that bad. It was like, oh, that was a bad dream. So that was good. that helped me in one portion start to sleep better. The other medication that I had was venlafaxine. And I'll talk more about that in a minute as far as what that medication is and what it does and what it's designed to do. But just very quickly, it is an uptake inhibitor for serotonin and some other chemicals in the brain. So when, for example, serotonin gets released in the brain, there are processes in the brain that once kind of the body and the mental and everything, the reason that the serotonin was dumped in as a response, once that's taken care of, then the body uptakes, right? The brain, takes that serotonin away back to just standard levels. Well, this medication, venlafaxine, one of the things that it does is it prohibits the body from uptaking that serotonin and the other chemicals back in to the body to normal levels. So my serotonin and other chemicals would stay at a higher level. And the primary design of venlafaxine is for chronic depression and anxiety. And it's a common antidepressant, very common. So I started taking that. We started at certain dosages and then increased the dosages to a point where my psychiatrist had seen success before with people that had PTSD. And so we kind of got to that point, and then that's where I was taking it at. It is a delayed release or a time release medication. So the way that it works, you take it in the morning and it slowly releases throughout the day so that it's working throughout a whole 24-hour period. So I started taking venlafaxine. The third medication was something that was prescribed to me and was going to be used on an as-needed basis. So it's called propranolol. I can't really say it. I'll put the name up here. Super low dosage thing, and it's to just help with anxiety, and it's more of a in the moment type thing. So like if you're starting to feel really anxious about something, or you even know that you're going to go be attending an event or something later that's going to have a lot of people or have things that are going to trigger some anxiety, then you can take it beforehand to kind of help prepare for that. And it just kind of takes the edge off of that. So then I had that available to me. I only needed to take that when I thought I needed it. So in my case, I rarely took it because I didn't want to take anything. So now, we fast forward a couple years to where I'm at a point, or I thought I was at a point in my journey that I wanted to get off these medications. Because as I said in the beginning, I didn't even want to take them at all. So we talked with my therapist, talked with my psychiatrist about that. My therapist is, on board in the sense that she's on my side and wants to support me with what I want to try to do. But she's also on the side of, hey, this is just a tool and it's working and you're in a good spot. Like, why would we mess with anything right now? My psychiatrist was like, nah, I think you still need to be on it for a while at the same dosage. And I didn't have a lot of fight in me, and I was like, okay. So we just kept it where it was at. Well, so at the time I was taking like 2 pills to get the dosage, like 150 milligrams, and then a separate pill that was 75 milligrams. And so I would take the 2 pills to get whatever that is, 225 milligrams. So after a couple weeks after kind of that conversation, I just got it in my head like, hey, I don't want to be on this stuff. They still think I need to be. So kind of a compromise or whatever I told myself at the time, hey, I'm going to stop taking the 75 milligrams. So I'll be down to the 150. So I'm going to reduce my dosage on my own without telling my doctor and without telling my therapist. A little bit before I had made that decision, I stopped taking the medication at night to help with the nightmares. So I'd been off that for about a month and was doing okay with that. So I did. So I reduced my dosage by myself, on my own, and just kept trucking along. When I initially did that reduction in dosage, did not notice any change whatsoever in anything. I was completely fine. So I was like, this is great. I successfully reduced my dosage. So I'm taking the 150 milligram pills and I still have the 75 milligram pills over here. So I tell myself, hey, I'm having success in reducing my dosage. So once I'm done with the 150s, I'll reduce it again and just start taking the 75s. And I'll take the 75s until they're gone, and then I'll just be off of it. So another month or so goes by, I finish the 150 milligram pills and start taking the 75 milligram pills. Well, after the second day, so about 48 hours of dropping down from 150 milligrams to 75 milligrams, I started experiencing some, withdrawal symptoms. Even though I'm still taking it, I'm taking a significantly less amount. And so I start getting some headaches, some brain fog, a little bit of kind of dizziness, and also immediately start getting some heavy, hardcore mental stuff coming back that I had not been dealing with, on a consistent or daily basis for a while. So very, very so again, suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideations, extreme negative self-talk, from the little tiniest things. I would just berate myself, just being horrible to myself. And the things that I would say to myself in my head, frankly, I don't want to repeat. And that was within 48 hours of reducing that dosage down to 75 milligrams. So, talked to some friends, talked to some people and some mentors that had been in my spot. They had been on medication for PTSD, and then they had successfully gotten off the medication. And so reached out to them. Unfortunately, the three people that I reached out to talk to them about what was going on, none of those three had been on venlafaxine. They had been on other medications to address their specific needs and things with what they were experiencing with their PTSD. So they could relate with the medication and not wanting to take it and wanting to get off of it, but they couldn't relate specifically with the venlafaxine. And all three of them just said, hey, what are you doing? You can't do this by yourself. You need to do this with the doctors, and you need to just go back to the 150 milligrams immediately where you weren't experiencing any of this stuff. And the withdrawal symptoms, I'll call it, came so swift and so intense and so hard in those first 48 hours that it scared me so bad that after I talked to them at the end of like the second day, and they said, hey, you need to just get back on your full dosage, there was like no fight in me at all. I was like, yep, sounds good, and went back to the 150 milligrams. So I still only went back to the previous dosage I had been on, that I had gotten to on my own, and then I just stayed there. And they were reassuring me, hey, it's fine, you don't need to feel whatever, shame, guilt, anything. It's just a tool. You're taking this pill, you're good to go. And like, none of them said, yeah, you could just do it forever, but they were like, hey, like just be good with it for now. And so I was. So kind of backing up a little bit, I'm taking this medication that has successfully helped me fight and not defeat, but treat the symptoms I was having with PTSD. So the extreme depression, anxiety, negative self-talk, suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideations, all that stuff, along with all the other tools that I had learned and had been implementing, I had gotten to a place where all of that stuff was more rare. It would still come, but low frequency, low intensity. Why then, you might ask, would I want to stop taking it? 2 reasons. The first reason I already talked about. I just don't like taking stuff. Okay? Second reason goes back to what I briefly mentioned with my friend who told me that he was taking a medication, and I, to this day, don't know what the medication was, but the side effects of the medication were worse than, the symptoms of PTSD. So this medication, venlafaxine, it has side effects. And I did not and do not enjoy the side effects of venlafaxine. So even though it did good things to help me address and combat the PTSD, it brought on a whole host of new things that I wasn't dealing with before, and now I got to deal with that. So it's that classic trade-off, right? And we've all seen the commercials. We've all seen the commercials of like, hey, if you're dealing with this horrible thing, take our medication and that horrible thing goes away. And then at the very end, they have that person talking really fast and reading all the warnings and reading all the side effects, up to and including death, up to and including suicidal thoughts and ideations, whatever it might be. And you kind of chuckle. I used to all the time. Why in hell would I take this medication that's going to make things worse for me? I'll just deal with the arthritis in my hand, or I'll just deal with the back pain that I have, or I'll just deal with whatever other thing I have instead of taking the medication that's going to bring on a whole other host of issues. I can say now, I understand that. I got to a point with the PTSD and the trauma stuff that I felt like I had nowhere else to go, nothing else to do but take this medication that then helped me, but then now I've got side effects. So I don't want to be taking it in the first place, and then I'm dealing with side effects. So that's why I wanted to get off of it. And at this point, like I said, it's been a couple years. So after talking with my friends, I stay on the 150 milligrams. There's a couple times, like on hunting trips or different things, where I forgot to bring some medication with me. It'd be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days. And by the time I got back and started taking the medication again, the withdrawal symptoms during that 2 to 4 to 5 day period were horrific. And so it was helping me like I'll just keep taking it, just stay on it. So, fast forward to 7 days ago. I get to the point, well, a couple weeks ago, where I am ready to make a plan with my therapist and my psychiatrist to get off of venlafaxine. Felt like mentally, emotionally, physically, that I'm in a really good spot. So I want to make a plan and get off of it. I sent an email to my psychiatrist. I CC my therapist. Let them know, hey, I have about a week's left of medication. The pharmacy let me know that they reached out to get a refill and the doctor didn't respond, my psychiatrist. So I'm like, hey, I need a refill because I'm running out, but I also want to talk to you about making a plan and getting off of this medication. My psychiatrist responds, says, okay, we need to set up an appointment so that we can talk about making a plan. And I said, great, I can do any time, any day. Let me know. He's like, yeah, we can do it over the phone, telemed appointment. Awesome. I said, let me know, tell me the date and time. And my therapist responds as well, just says, hey, I agree, Jared's in a really good spot. So let's make a plan. But also, he's running out of his current medication, so can we just get an initial refill on his medication so he doesn't run out? When she sends that email, I'm at like 3 pills left. So I only have a couple pills left. I am thinking in the back of my mind, like, I know what happens when I stop taking this, so yeah, until we come up with a plan and everything, yeah, I need a refill. This is all happening over email, and my psychiatrist does not respond. He doesn't respond the next day. He doesn't respond the next day. I don't get any notifications from my pharmacy that he has refilled the initial prescription. I'm telling my wife during this period what's going on, that I'm about to be out of medication. And I was at the point where I definitely want to be off of it. I'm trying to do the right thing and go through my doctor and my therapist. They say, yeah, let's make a plan. But then now my therapist, or my doctor, has not refilled my prescription and I'm running out of pills. So I have like one pill left, and I just make the decision, like, okay, if I don't get a notification that I get a refill, I'm just gonna take my last pill and I'm gonna get on this ride and I'm gonna buckle myself in and go for a ride. So that's what I did. Didn't hear anything from my doctor, did not get a refill, took my last pill, and got on this ride. And today is day 8 since I have not taken venlafaxine. So let me just tell you, I have never drank alcohol. I've never tasted it. Personal decision. I have never smoked marijuana. I have never done any illicit, illegal drugs of any kind. Remember, I wouldn't even take Tylenol. And now here I've been on an extremely powerful antidepressant for over 2 years. And I stopped cold turkey. I knew it was going to be bad, But I did, because I had experienced, some withdrawal symptoms when I would forget to bring some with me on a trip, or when I initially reduced some of my dosage and stuff. But now it's cold turkey. I went from 0, or, I went from 100 to 0. And the withdrawal symptoms, man, there's really not words, just horrendous. So physiological, right? Connected to my physical body, withdrawal symptoms like headaches, dizziness, nausea, brain fog, vertigo, brain zaps they call it. Like literally you feel like someone's inside your head with a cattle prod, just zap, 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 and you're like trying not to twitch. And then you have the psychological withdrawal symptoms. So now, remember what I said. So now, whenever I would have something to where my brain would trigger the release of serotonin, and then when that event was done and the serotonin would begin to be absorbed back into my brain, the medication was preventing that, so that I would have a higher levels of serotonin. Well, now that's gone. So the serotonin is just getting absorbed back into my brain, going back down to normal levels, which for me the normal level was up here, and now it's back down to just the normal level of down here. And so psychologically, coming back, full speed, full intensity are the psychological withdrawal symptoms. So extreme depression, extreme anxiety, extreme self-negativity, zero resiliency, not, the tiniest little things, and I'm gone. I'm like, worst case scenario, it's all on me, all the negative self-talk. So right after all that, ramps right back up to suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideations. The only surefire way to stop the psychological and the physiological things I'm feeling right now is if I end my life. That turns off the switch, and I won't feel any of this anymore. So that comes back full bore. I'm communicating with Katie, letting her know this is what is going on. It's not good. I was feeling extremely selfish because I want to get off this stuff. But now what I'm going through, these withdrawal symptoms, they're affecting my family, they're affecting my wife, they're affecting my marriage. I can't even look at Katie in the eyes. I can't look at my kids. I'm like full bore shame, guilt, just all these horrible things that I had largely gotten out of my life are back, just boom. I probably shouldn't have been driving or doing things because like the dizzy, vertigo, nausea stuff was not good. But like I'm still working, I'm still dealing with stuff at work and all the stresses of owning a business and running a business. And I would just fight and struggle to make it through the day and then get home and I just fall apart. Katie starts to do research on withdrawal symptoms. Would have been a good thing to research before I did it. I did not do that. I mean, all I can say is it's my fault. It's on me. I take full ownership. I decided to go cold turkey and to get off of it. Let's make that very clear. And I didn't do it the right way. I was annoyed with the system, annoyed with my psychiatrist for not getting back to me, which I still have not received any communication with him. But I didn't call him. I didn't start blowing him up before I ran out of medication. I just kind of let it roll, and I used that as an excuse. But now I'm like, I get like 3 or 4 days in, and I'm like, we're on this ride. I'm on this ride. If he emails me back or my prescription gets refilled, I am not taking this damn pill again. Because if I do, then I'm going to get to a point where the withdrawal symptoms go away, I'm back on this pill, and at some point in the future, I got to go through this again, and I'm already 3 days in. I'm like, let's just ride it out. My wife is supporting me, but I can tell she's struggling, because I was not good. We find out, reading the stuff, doing our research, that venlafaxine is probably in the top 3 antidepressants as far as difficulty to get off of and withdrawal symptoms involved. No one ever told me that. When they said, hey, you should take this pill, it'll help you, which it did, I acknowledge that. It helped me. But man, I wish I would have known, kind of like, hey, what's this going to look like on the back end? Doing our research, we see like, hey, commonly day 5, day 6, symptoms peak and then start to level off from there. And thankfully, that is the case with me. Today's day 8, and I feel really good. There's still a little bit there, both physiological and psychological, but dang near nothing compared to 2 days ago. So, I'm just talking, man. Like I said at the beginning of the video, right? Listen to Jared talk while he drives. During the last week, another strong feeling that I had was like, felt like a drug addict. A drug addict coming off of whatever and having these horrible withdrawal symptoms, right? That's what I was. That's what I am. Whatever you want to say. I was taking a drug that my body was addicted to, in the sense that it got it every day. I didn't crave taking this pill. There were no cravings. There were no like, oh, I should take 3 of these today. I should take 4 of these today. It's only going to get better if I take more. There was none of that. It was part of my routine. Wake up in the morning, take a pill, brush my teeth, get ready for the day, and go. But the changes that it did to the chemicals in my brain, and then getting off of it, and now my brain's just operating normally without those changes. My brain's like, what is going on here? So, a little bit of awareness, other than just, I don't even know, just sharing my experience. It was horrible, horrific, horrendous, just bad. It was just bad. My wife, number one, dealing with me, supporting me, helping me. I don't know what I've ever done to deserve her. I mean, I'm glad I have her. So thank you to my wife. Talking to my mentor, talking to my therapist, talking to my wife. I'm under no illusions that the following days, weeks, and months are going to be easy, because now I'm going to be kind of on my own in the sense of not having this medication, making these tweaks to the chemicals in my brain to help me deal with what I was dealing with. So now I just really have to be on point with all the other things that I've learned and the things that I'm doing. And maybe I should make another video about that. Sleep, diet, exercise, sunlight, being outside, practicing gratitude, practicing and remembering that I am in control of how I feel, what I think, what I do, recognizing the thoughts that come really easily to me of being a victim, and immediately shifting those things to I'm not a victim. I am grateful. I am strong. I know what I need to do to take care of these things. So, public service announcement. Getting off of antidepressants is extremely difficult. Take it from me. Thanks for listening. If you did listen, guys, I really appreciate it. Again, it's very therapeutic. It's very helpful for me. And you should all practice it yourself in whatever you're dealing with in your life, whether it's talking more to your significant other, talking to friends that you trust, talking to a therapist. But being able to talk these things out and express them and think about them helps a lot. So thanks for listening. If you're struggling, if you're hurting, if you're thinking negative thoughts, if you're having suicidal thoughts and ideations, listen to me. We want you here. We want you here today. We want you here tomorrow. And things will get better. There are things that we can do to help. Reach out to me. Reach out to friends and family. If you need immediate assistance, right, dial 988 and people will be there to talk to you and help you. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. Reach out with any questions, concerns, or anything like that. And see you on the next video.